The murder of Courtney Angus became one of West Yorkshire's most disturbing recent homicide cases. Today, we break down the full case timeline. Courtney, 21, was murdered in July 2025 by Michael Doherty, a convicted rapist who attacked her after she rejected his romantic advances. Doherty later admitted the killing and was sentenced to life imprisonment with a minimum term of 33 years in May 2026. Courtney was a 21-year-old woman from Dewsbury. Family members described her as a beautiful soul who loved music and socializing. She loved spending time with friends and family. Her death devastated her family and shocked the local community. Her sisters told the court that seeing Courtney after her death was something they would never forget, questioning the cruelty she faced. The local community was left in a state of utter shock, struggling to reconcile such a violent act with the peaceful town they knew. To understand the gravity of this case, we have to look at the sequence of events that led to that tragic night in July. Courtney had been staying at Michael Doherty's house on Norfolk Street in Batley for several days before the incident. Court evidence later showed that during this time, Doherty developed strong romantic feelings for her. However, Courtney made it clear she did not want a relationship with him. She rejected his advances shortly before the attack. On July 25th, 2025, according to prosecutors, Doherty once again expressed his romantic interest in Courtney. After being rejected once more, he launched a prolonged and extremely violent attack during the evening. He sexually assaulted her, inflicted numerous injuries, and ultimately strangled her in a motive that was both sexual and sadistic. Court proceedings revealed the attack was sadistic in nature, leaving a lasting scar on all who heard the graphic evidence. Pathologists later determined she died from pressure to the neck, combined with blunt force head injuries. She suffered dozens of injuries. Following Courtney's death, Doherty remained in the house with her body. He used his phone to take photographs of her. He even sent messages to others indicating that he had killed someone, yet he did not call for emergency services. The next day, Doherty left the property and went on a violent rampage. He stole items from shops and threatened people with a knife. At an Asda supermarket in Dewsbury, he brandished a large knife during incidents involving both staff and the police. When officers finally confronted him, he made a shocking confession. He had killed someone and the body was still in his house. Police immediately attended the Norfolk Street address. Inside, they discovered Courtney. A murder investigation was launched. Over the following months, investigators collected forensic evidence and examined phone records to build a solid prosecution case. They confirmed the timeline and the motive. The killing was a direct result of Courtney's rejection of Doherty. In January 2026, Doherty unexpectedly pleaded guilty to murder, theft, and multiple counts of threatening people with a blade. This unexpected plea meant that Courtney's family were spared the trauma of a lengthy and graphic murder trial. On May 28, 2026, the court heard the full details of the attack. Doherty was described as an extremely dangerous offender. Doherty's significant history of violent offending, including a previous rape conviction, painted a picture of an extremely dangerous individual. The judge imposed life imprisonment with a minimum term of 33 years. Doherty's history of violence, including rape, was cited. Courtney's mother told the court that the loss of her daughter was a pain that would never truly disappear. Her family questioned how anyone could inflict such cruelty on a young woman who had her whole life ahead of her. To recap, Courtney was just 21. Her life was taken on July 25, 2025 in Batley, West Yorkshire after she stood her ground. Doherty is now serving a minimum of 33 years in prison. The case has become a focal point for national attention. The case drew widespread attention because of the killer's confession and his history of violence against women. It has prompted renewed discussions about how the legal system handles violent offenders with histories of gender-based violence. This tragedy prompted urgent conversations across the nation regarding the safety of women and the monitoring of known violent offenders. Courtney's story is a tragic reminder of the dangers women face and the resilience of a family seeking justice. She will be remembered not just for how she died, but for the beautiful soul she was to everyone who knew her. Thank you for watching this breakdown. May Courtney rest in peace and may her family find some measure of closure. Sweden's gang violence crisis, full breakdown. For much of the 20th century, Sweden was considered one of Europe's safest countries. However, over the last 15 years, it has experienced a dramatic rise in organized gang crime, shootings, and bombings. The recruitment of children into criminal networks has become one of the country's biggest political and social challenges. How the crisis began. The roots of Sweden's gang problem go back to the 1990s and early 2000s when criminal groups began to evolve. Groups became heavily involved in drug trafficking, weapon smuggling, extortion, fraud, and organized violence. Over time, local gangs evolved into larger criminal networks controlling parts of the narcotics market. Rival groups began fighting over territory, debts, and influence, increasingly resulting in shootings and bomb attacks. The 2023 violence explosion. The crisis reached international attention in 2023 when a violent feud erupted. A feud began between two major criminal figures, Rawa Majid, known as the Kurdish Fox, and Ismail Abdo, known as the Strawberry. Former allies became rivals after disputes over drug profits and alleged betrayals, triggering a wave of assassinations. The conflict triggered drive-by shootings, grenade attacks, and residential bombings across the country. Swedish police described the violence as unprecedented in modern Swedish history. The major criminal networks. First, the Foxtrot Network, the country's most notorious gang network. Their activities include drug trafficking, weapons smuggling, contract killings, and extortion. Authorities believe many operations were directed from abroad, making Foxtrot one of Sweden's most influential organizations. Second, the Rumba Network, led by Ismail Abdo, which became Foxtrot's primary rival. Rumba was involved in a series of retaliatory attacks during the intense gang war. Third, the Dolan Network, another major network responsible for a large share of Sweden's gang violence. Why are children involved? One of the most shocking aspects is the recruitment of minors. Criminal groups increasingly use 12, 13, and 14-year-olds to carry out shootings and bombings. Gangs exploit children through social media and encrypted apps, as those under 15 face fewer legal consequences. A police estimate found roughly 1,700 under-18s were involved in these criminal networks. The bombing epidemic. Unlike many conflicts elsewhere, Sweden experienced a massive surge in explosive attacks. Bombings have targeted apartment blocks, family homes, and businesses, making Sweden unusual in Europe. Innocent victims. Between 2023 and 2026, 23 innocent bystanders were killed and 30 others wounded. Victims included people struck by stray bullets and individuals mistaken for rivals, intensifying public pressure for action. Government response. Sweden introduced some of the toughest anti-gang measures in its modern history. Measures include expanded electronic surveillance, wiretapping powers, and tougher prison sentences. The government has also proposed lowering the age of criminal responsibility from 15 to 13 for serious crimes. Has it worked? Recent statistics show gang-related killings and shootings have declined substantially since 2022. Sweden recorded its lowest homicide level in more than a decade in 2025. However, police warn that explosions remain a problem, and 17,500 active criminals are still connected to gangs. Looking at the timeline, the 2010s saw gang expansion, leading to the deadly 62 killings in 2022. 2023 was the peak of the feud, but 2024 and 2025 brought hundreds of arrests and a decline in shootings. Sweden's crisis is a complex network of organized crime. While data suggests a decline, the battle is far from over. The underlying criminal infrastructure remains powerful, and authorities continue to push for a safer future for all citizens.